Hi, everyone. This is Apostate Babe Linda James, your favorite apostate. And we just got done doing an interview with Shannon and John for their channel, Deservingly You. And I wanted to close that out and then start up another live stream for us to do what we usually do on a Saturday night, which is sometimes we show up with a subject, sometimes we don't. But the main purpose of this channel is to support each other, those of us that have lived through high control groups and high demand groups that have turned out to be very toxic, and ways to assist each other in assimilating into society at large. Because what happens is our development or our growth becomes stunted, and we end up doing very strange, socially unacceptable things, and we have no clue why people get very upset with us. So we don't know why people are yelling at us. So it's very helpful to be able to um, hang out with others who have experienced being in groups like these. So thank you for showing up tonight, and thank you for being there for the interview with Shannon and John. I think they have a very cool channel, and it was really nice to be able to promote them tonight. And then we had a surprise visit from Ruby, which was really cool. So I'm joined with Matthew and Diamond Dave. Diamond Dave just showed up looking for like gaming, which we're so not. But he caught wind that we were talking previous Jehovah's Witness stuff, and he let us know that he had spent some time within the Mormons. Now, doctrinally and biblically, we have different views, but the same techniques and tactics that are used within the organization of Jehovah's Witnesses are exactly the same as what is used within um, the Latter-day Saints. So, um, yeah, I just wanted to share that. So I wanted to open things up for Diamond Dave, because I don't think many of you guys have met him, and just ask you to share a little bit about your channel and what you do with your channel and a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So I'm a gamer. I'm a gamer and an occasional ex-Mormon podcaster. Usually
Okay.
I go on like other people's channels. I haven't like started my own yet. I've been kind of debating about it.
Oh,
But
okay.
I just do more gaming, and it's more chill, relaxing gaming, and I started doing like live streams again. Um Thank you, Happy Thoughts. Thank you. Yeah, so I go on kind of some smaller ones, but also some bigger ones too, like Mormon discussions, like Bill Reel and Radio Free Mormon. I've called in there, and they work with John Dehlin a lot and their um, Thrive groups. So if you guys ever like happen to see, me call in there, like I'm one of the regulars, and then I'm on Latter Daily Digest quite frequently, and I'm going to be helping them and one of his partners like build their channel, just to get the message out there, because I know I'm not really familiar with Jehovah's Witnesses too much. I've had a couple encounters, but that's it. But at least from the Mormon side, there's really good content. But the issue I see a lot of like in the ex-Mormon sphere is a lot of it is people much older than me, right? And they're the main people that do it. There are some exceptions, but the main ones are much older than me and cater to like audiences much older than me. And so I'm like, hey, this is great content, but we need to kind of like address the younger generation too, because when people my age and younger leave the church, there's a couple resources there, but there's not a lot, right? Right. So it's good to have digestible information that's like accessible to everybody, and that
Is
includes everybody.
Yeah, is there anything on Reddit? I'm sorry, yeah, Reddit.
Yeah, there's like ex-Mormon Reddit, I know, for
Okay.
like ex-Mormons, and like if you want to learn
Oh,
about Mormonism, that's a good place to go. Zelf on the Shelf is a good channel. Alessa Grenfell's like amazing. She's a couple of years age difference than me. Um And then there's like Jordan and McKay, which is now True Virtue, and I think and Nemo the Mormon.
Nemo.
Um,
I love it.
Nemo, yeah, Nemo the Mormon.
Okay.
Yep, Mormon discuss. Oh, you like
Isn't there
more?
like
Oh, yeah.
apostate sisters that are previous Mormons as well? Have you
That
heard
I'm
of
not
them?
familiar with.
Okay.
No, actually, I kind of stumbled upon John Dehlin and Mormon stories with like when I was in the church. Um, and I kind of like just found the other channels just through the algorithm feed. But I don't typically go too far into it for
Yeah.
myself personally. Um, I'm glad that there's like resources out there for like ex Mormons. But we talked about in the interview, like leaving is one thing, but healing is another. And I
Yes.
noticed that in ex Mormon spaces, it can get extremely toxic extremely quickly because there's a lot of people that don't heal.
Yeah.
Um, and I mean, I'm in the process of like healing my own stuff outside of Mormonism. So it's like, I like to take breaks and focus on, spending time with my wife, working on my
Exactly.
channel, doing my coaching,
Hmm.
living life in Mongolia because there's a lot to do here. So,
Yeah, you were talking about John. Tell me his last name again.
John Dehlin.
Yes, John Dehlin. So this is a previous Mormon who is actually a licensed therapist. So he ends up having shows where he'll bring on previous Mormons, and they will last like a good hour or two. There's also a gal, um, Crisis to Consciousness, and she was a
Oh,
previous
Cults to
Mormon.
Consciousness. Yep.
That's
Shalise
yeah,
Mansola. Yep. You may see
beautiful.
me on there. I occasionally super chat on there.
Yes, so
So,
she'll have previous um, Mormons on there, but also previous um, people that have been in other high control groups as well. And
mhm.
what's really unique is that it's almost as though they have the same playbook, but they don't. But what you'll recognize is, oh, the isolation. Okay, that's isolation. Oh, okay, so um, you'll see these techniques and tactics that you can point out. Um, there's a lot of fear. They're bringing about a lot of things that scare the crap out of people. You'll recognize
Mhm.
that, and the need for fear is to help guide the followers much easier than if they're not in a state of fear. So
Mhm.
if you can imagine being like in a department store and you hear the fire alarms go off and it starts to get very dark and cloudy and black. If you see somebody that just has on a uniform apron that says the name of the store and they say exit is this way, because they're in a uniform, you're going to follow their directions very easily when you're in a state of fear. This
Mhm.
happens within destructive groups as well, within cults as well. They get you in that state of fear and they direct you in these different directions. So that's one of the techniques that are used as well. And it can create a trauma bond,
Yep.
which makes you actually very loyal to the leadership. Um, they'll either say that they speak for God, groups like these, or they will say that they are God. Mormonism has prophets. Jehovah's Witnesses has a prophet like organization who claim to be the mouthpiece of God. They speak for God. And then prophets, of course, God uses prophets to speak for God as well. So these are like considered very sacred channels that bring information to us as followers that we truly believe that's God using these people to get messages to us. They might say something like, God used Moses to guide his people through you know, the desert for 40 years. So God always has always used someone. He would do that again. So that seems logical. But the main thing a cult really wants to do is gaslight someone to where they no longer trust in their own reasoning skills. They no longer trust what their heart says. They no longer trust what their intuition says. And then simply take directions from the leadership, whether it feels wrong or right, to get you to no longer trust yourself but believe in them as being a higher authority, and even claiming that you'd be pleasing God if you do these things that you're being instructed to do by these people who claim to be speaking for God. What ends up happening is, what a cult wants to do is replace your family with itself and say, we're your family now. That's the bottom line of what a cult does. They tear your own, biological family apart, whether it's a functional, decent one or not. They take the place of where a family is to be. So,
Linda James, can I also jump in sharing with Dave? Because Dave started coming up with some really good suggestions. Really good. I liked your 5 minute of silence. Just as a practical thing. Now, the reason why I want to just focus in on that, now, Linda James is mentioning all of the various, propensities for abuse there that occur within the high control religion. Now, I'm going to come in on this 5 minutes. As a JW, that form of meditation is off limits. It's not allowed. It's not considered meditation. So to actually rest the mind, rest the brain, like you suggest, just for 5 minutes, let's have a time out, and then allow, what do I feel? What happens? And can I just observe that? No, that doesn't happen in JW culture. Why? Because it's demonized. They tell you, no, if you do something like that, you allow a place for the devil, demons, your own imperfection to take over. And it's fear that does this. So now imagine what that does statistically to your group of people on a psychological level, when something that should heal has been subtracted from the spiritual diet. You can't actually progress spiritually just because of 5 minutes, where Diamond Dave comes through and the mental firewalls go up and they say, Dave, we have a problem with that. We have a problem with it. You see, so the meditation that they now have is, no, I fill my mind with Bible thoughts. I'm remembering scripture. I'm keeping occupied. And I don't stop. And this is why the mental health just crashes. The depression goes up. The ills go up. How's that, Linda James? Does that...
that is so true. It is so true, yet when we hear talks given from the governing body, which is equal to the prophets within Mormonism, bring up a subject and then tell us to meditate on it. It can't be like what Dave suggested. Let's just take a few minutes aside and, kind of clear the mind. And what happens when you do get to do medication, unlike what the governing body is directing us to do, what it does is it focuses you into the here and now. When we're in groups of high control, we're either looking back with regret or ahead in our hopes for the afterlife. This moment doesn't much matter. So that's the mindset of don't bother doing meditation. But in actuality, if you can become grounded with what this time is, and you are touching yourself, so that's like grounding yourself back into your body, because it's so easy to be preoccupied with what's going to happen in the future and what has happened in the past.
Yeah.
So it's actually a very healthy thing. Too much of anything can be used negatively, but
it's true. Too much water, you drown. So
yeah, exactly.
There was another thing you mentioned earlier, Dave, was this light therapy. Was it the yellow light, red light, and green or blue? What was that?
Someone else mentioned red light therapy. That was not me.
Wasn't you? Okay. Sorry about that.
I was Gail.
Yeah. Oh, okay. That was Gail that said she did red light therapy. I'm familiar with like color therapy, but I don't use that personally. Like usually when I do my coaching, like I started doing it more with people in the form of like tarot readings and just like using the tarot cards to like help explore the
Okay.
different archetypes and aspects of a person and like kind of diving deeper with them. I personally like after leaving the Mormon Church and just working with people and seeing people in the podcast, I personally don't use the term high control religion. I personally don't. And the reason is because what I'm seeing from what little I've seen in the JW, it seems very similar to Mormonism, where a lot of people ask, well, if it's a cult, why do you stay? Like, why did you stay? And one of the things I've noticed in Mormonism is people are wired differently. And this is something that I've come to terms with how I function because in 2018 I was diagnosed with autism, right? I am a person that thrives in a rigid corporate hierarchical structure, be it a society, be it a religion. I'm just one of those people. Many people are like that, and many people are drawn to religions, you know. And so I found that the best way to reach people who are in cults is to just acknowledge that, hey, you thrive in this setting. That's great. Now let's show you how you can thrive in other settings. And that's personally more my approach.
Very
Okay.
nice, Dave. It's good. Linda James, can I just mention something before we progress any further? And I think
Sure.
if you use your intuition, you know where I'm coming from in
Can
our
we do
disclaimer section.
thesis? Can we
Yeah.
do the thesis thing?
Shall we do that? Shall we do that? And then it can
Yes,
just free
please.
us up. Can I go ahead?
Yes, please.
So Dave, we normally because because the backgrounds that we come from is so heavily monitored, and it is the full wrath of an international, sophisticated legal body that is very combative. And besides the fact that for the fact we have different religious beliefs and non-religious beliefs and spiritual practice and different development in the audience and different viewpoints and things like that, we are eclectic, and we normally come with the disclaimer. We say, let's approach this discussion with essential critical thinking. In other words, whatever thesis comes through, let's embrace antithesis for the purpose of synthesis, for healthy solution-oriented thinking. And along with that, we also say, bring in your healthy skepticism. So we are not professionals by any means. We don't carry doctorates necessarily. Some persons might do that. Come on to the to look at what's been recorded. We might have clinicians, or we might have psychologists or parapsychologists or legal experts that come on, or persons that are involved in changing law and things like this. And they are curious about what happens with these kind of spaces. But essentially, we're just friends. We're just friends that are getting together, just chatting, speaking our minds, and not necessarily pushing one particular agenda above another. Linda James, does that just about cover it?
I think so. Yeah, like I'm sharing my opinion, and we've welcomed Diamond Dave to be sharing his opinion, his style, his ways, and we're curious about them. And same thing with you, Matthew. We're sharing opinions, and this is not necessarily a um, event to tell people how they should live their lives. If something rings true to them, you know, they can choose to adopt it or not. And if it doesn't ring true, just you don't have to receive it. It's not a have to, you know. So yeah, I
Yeah.
think that makes sense. And what you do when you do that thesis thing is it's very similar to um, kind of like a copyright cover ourselves kind of thing. that we're simply sharing our opinions, and we are allowed to have opinions.
Yeah, and we're allowed to be wrong and to, get some kind of correction as well. Sometimes we look back and we go, geez, we need to correct that, So,
Yep.
I think both of us have come to each other, even on the show live, going, you know what, I told you this last time, and I thought about it later and went, I owe you an apology.
what the hell was I thinking?
Right? Seemed like a good idea at the time. But this is actually growth. So,
Yep.
yeah.
There's one question.
That
Oh, go ahead.
There's a question in the chat. Why does the LDS Church keep choosing 90-year-old men to be the prophet? So, answer, they are not chosen like the Pope, right? It's not that it's not like a bunch of cardinals get together, they pray about it supposedly, and then they elect someone. When the prophet dies, there is a chain of command, right? So there's the prophet, and then you have the first counselor, the second counselor, and so on. So when the prophet dies, whoever's next in line is just elevated. So it's not even necessarily a choice. It's people are selected, they rise up through the ranks, and then as the prophet dies, then everyone just kind of moves up a notch.
and that's
why if you look at the ex-Mormon kind of like the podcast scene, you'll see like people talking about, I'm worried when this guy is going to be prophet, and you may not recognize the name, but because people are talking about it, that's the next person in line. And because they're 90-year-old men, they're coming relatively soon. That's why people are expressing that kind of concern.
Thank you.
Also, one disclaimer, since we did that in the beginning,
Sure.
I was not born in the Mormon Church. I am by no means an expert on the Mormon Church. I know some things. I have opinions. They are just
Right.
opinions, but I am
Mhm.
not an expert. So I may not be able to answer all the questions that are here. Just so you
I
guys know.
like your Hindu grounding that you bring as well.
Well, thank you. Yeah. Some of that is religious, and some of that is just my natural, just the way I'm wired. I try and approach all things from like a very grounded, pragmatic standpoint. And ironically, that's why I joined Mormonism in the first place, because, I believe that a religious system or a form of spirituality or a lifestyle should give to you, right? If you invest in it, it should give to you. And if I invest in something and it gives to me, logically speaking, there's no reason not to pursue that. But once it stops giving it to you, I have no problem just kind of dropping off the map. So
Expecting expecting that is not too much to expect. And
yeah.
Unfortunately, there are many groups that it turns out that you don't receive anything, but you're in a position where you're encouraged to give and give and give. And that's usually a sign of something toxic, when there's not a give and take,
Exactly. I mean, yeah. think of it like this way. Think about it, because like I've been married for less than a year, but this is something that just occurred to me. It's like, if you're married, newly married for 20 years, 100 years, it doesn't matter. How would that marriage work if you constantly gave and gave to your spouse and they gave nothing back? How would that, like, what would you do? Right. I mean, let's be honest here. Like, what would you do? Like, if your spouse is taking all your money,
mm-hmm.
would you really stick around?
Yeah, that's a good question. And different people handle it different ways, but it makes more sense to leave. I know within the culture of Jehovah's Witnesses, there are very few reasons that followers are allowed to biblically leave their partner. So
Yeah.
Otherwise, you have to stay with them. Scripturally, you
Yeah.
have to stay with them. If they beat the fuck out of you, you got to stay with them. If they rape your
Yep.
children,
I
you
heard
got to
that.
stay with them. Okay? If they become a spiritual endangerment, meaning they are choosing to leave the organization or maybe even became a different denomination, that's called spiritual endangerment, and yes, you can leave them. And or if they commit adultery, you can leave them. But there's also a niche. Women are to give our husbands their dues. Okay, whether we are, um, there with it or not, it is their dues. So, um, if the man gets his dues, whether the woman's all up for it or not, by the time they get to the elders and it is reported that, let's say, the husband committed adultery, the wife will be asked, was there any, I usually call it patty cake, but was there any sex involved since the affair? And if the woman says yes, that means the woman has forgiven him. That act in of itself, so she's now there, she's forgiven him and has to stay in the marriage. If a woman is raped, did she scream? If not, she was a willing participant. Stuff like that. That you usually don't find out until on a need-to-know basis,
And also misuse of this scripture in the Gospels, Matthew 18:15-35, where you've got this incremental step-by-step process that is very, very misapplied and weighted in favor of the religious institute to protect it from liability. In other words, it works one way, not both ways. So this now becomes a system where it's not openly discussed how that reference should actually be used in practice and in our modern world. And so effectively is used as a gag order to protect against liability and therefore shields abuse. So we sometimes say retaliatory shunning shields abuse.
And we're often told you cannot discuss this after it's been reported to elders. Let's say CSA is reported to elders. You're then informed not to speak of it. Or if you go to the elders and say your husband, stepped out on you, you'll also be told you cannot discuss this. So you can't talk to your friends about it, but you're in a really bad place emotionally and stuff. But if you do talk about it with a dear friend, that's called gossip. So there's a lot you have to keep in that isn't healthy. But what were you going to ask, Dave?
No, I was going to say that sounds similar to Mormonism. Does the JW Church have an abuse hotline like the Mormon Church does?
Ooh,
no.
What a good question.
And I'm
curious because you brought it up. Because
I'm shocked to hear that Mormons have an abuse hotline.
Here's how this works. And I actually had the privilege to speak with Sam Young. For those of you who don't know, the LDS Church has an abuse hotline. So if there's CSA, you tell the bishop. The bishop does not call the police. He calls Kurt and McConkie, the lawyers, and they start asking, did it happen on church property? What was the nature? Does anyone else know? Blah, blah, blah. Don't talk to the police, and they're coached on what to do and how to handle the situation, and then it kind of just gets disappeared. And I had the privilege of getting to ask Sam Young how he stays sane because he was excommunicated for the church for pointing out all of this. Right. And fighting for a bunch of change. And the church made token changes, but not much has changed. So I'm kind of curious to know, because I have seen on YouTube and occasional news articles of abuse in the JW Church. Does something similar happen where, like, if there is abuse, there's like someone call a legal team, or how does that work?
You want to take this, Matthew?
Sorry.
I could. Okay. So yes,
I
It's
don't
my first
mind.
time.
It's just
My
a
first
question
time on the
who
channel, and I
want
stepped on a landmine. Apparently,
No,
My
no.
bad.
I've been wanting to do this. I was just telling Matthew like last week. Questions will be asked, and I'm just yada answering them, and I'm like, I need to make a point of asking you if you'd like to participate
You know what?
in
Let's
the
do it
answers
together.
too.
How about that?
And I
Let's dive in together.
Sure.
Okay, I'll start it off. All right.
Sure.
Oh, you and me. We were talking before the previous show about this average of persons or of time that passes between somebody who's abused, and of course Dave has mentioned CSA, but okay, let's take it. CSA. Somebody's abused, CSA. How long does it take on average for that person to come forward with it? And we said 25 to 26 years. And there is a case now in the Supreme Court of Norway, which met in February, early February, and they are still deliberating with this. This is 5 judges in Supreme Court are deliberating with the dilemma that arrived on their doorstep, which now young children or parents or persons that have faced an abuse situation have to deal with. How can they be equipped to deal with this? You know, this hotline thing that you've brought in as a question. If now 5 judges are going, geez, we're stuck in a double bind, catch-22 situation, dilemma, and we're realizing if we do this path, we're going to be wrong. If we go down this path, it's wrong. If we say to JW, listen, we withdraw from you the subsidies that the state is providing towards the religion, then we're going to get a bad rap because now we're discriminating. But if we provide the state subsidies, we're going to get a bad rap because now we're enabling abusive policies. And finally we go, wow, that's fabulous. It's a horrible situation, but it's fabulous that now the state is forced into this situation because it has to answer towards ethics committees. It has to answer to the public. Why is money, taxpayers' money, going towards this kind of thing? And we're saying, okay, how many years have you guys been dealing with this thing? Well, already your lower courts have done a flip-flop. So it comes all the way to the Supreme Court and you still haven't made a decision. Meanwhile, a child has faced this and they in this kind of purgatory situation or frozen in time to try and get justice or the safety that they need.
That's right.
This is a terrible situation. So whatever happens in Norway right now is a very pivotal situation. And so we discuss these kind of things, hotline. The hotline within JW is to serve one purpose only. And that is to protect the institute from potential liability.
That's the same thing then. That's the same thing.
The section that is sewn into average JW is, that's so we are compliant with Caesar's law or state law or the superior authorities. That is, how am I doing, Linda James?
I think you're doing great.
Okay, Dave. I don't know if that's that.
No, it makes it's pretty much the same, and this is why I'm really glad I now live in a country that oppresses religion. I'm just so glad because that would never fly here at all. Just to put it bluntly, but yeah, it's kind of sad, but it's also kind of interesting the huge dynamic because like. Just how both institutions function to protect the institution. And in the US, it seems like both institutions, like, they know that people know, but they don't care. But in other countries, especially like countries like here in Central Asia, where if you so much as like preach on the street without a permit, you will get thrown in a gulag. Like they have to like tiptoe around very, very carefully. Um,
Wow.
I was actually the deep dive I was doing on the last live that I mentioned. I was actually seeing Jehovah's Witnesses here in Mongolia, and they actually do exist. Um, there's only 469 of them, according to the JW website, which does not surprise me.
Wow. Wow.
8 congregations. They are allowed to proselyte here, and this I find interesting because the Mormons, they are not allowed to proselyte. What they do is they teach English, and
Yes.
if someone goes up to them and says, "Hey, I want to learn about your faith," then you could do that.
Mhm.
If the Mormons were to do that, they'd either be immediately deported or arrested or and imprisoned because it's illegal for foreigners to do that here. But apparently, according to the internet, the Jehovah's Witnesses are allowed to. They're not allowed to go door to door, but it looks like native Mongolians are allowed to set up like little carts and let people come up to them.
Literature
interesting.
parts. Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually
Okay.
interesting to me because I haven't seen that here personally in Ulaanbaatar. I don't know if you guys might know more about their international missions work than I would. I haven't seen them do that here. My just limited speculation would be that generally speaking, foreign religions are looked down on, and that could cause some type of altercation. But I don't know.
Do you guys have a state church where you're at?
No, no. So Mongolia historically has been Tibetan Buddhist. So about 55% of the population is Tibetan Buddhist. 40% is no religious affiliation at all. So that's like 95% of the population. They're either Tibetan Buddhist or no religious affiliation, but they still practice Tibetan Buddhism in some way just because of Mongolian holidays and tradition. And then, you know, everything just implodes from there. Because Mongolia, unlike America and Western countries, it's very much an ethno state. 99.99% of people here in Mongolia are Mongolian.
Oh wow.
There are Muslims here allegedly. There's a small amount running around. Most of them are Kazakh. But I've seen like a Muslim couple here in Ulaanbaatar. They are here. There's I think a mosque somewhere, but they're not really prominent in my section of Ulaanbaatar. I don't think.
I would propose this, Dave, that you probably have a better quality JW where you are. And I'll tell you why that happens. Because they are kind of forced underground. And when they're forced underground, they've also got to what my experience has been is that they will usually adopt in a kind of bubble a lot of the practices in the area because there isn't the means of the mother organization or institute to have so much control. So you might actually find that although they're quite different, that they go underground and they actually, funnily enough, flourish spiritually because of the hardship and the constraints. It's an interesting effect that happens in areas like that.
Yeah, I would say so, and like there are Mormons here too. Most of them are much younger, and I don't know about JWs, but from what it looks like, from what I'm seeing, it looks like a lot of it, a lot of why people join Mormonism in Mongolia is because it's two reasons. First of all, a lot of them are in the provinces, and it's very rural, so there's not a lot of support, right? So they may join for the perceived belief of I join this church and I'll get financial benefits. There's also the aspect of because that's very big in Africa and like South America. right? A lot of people join because they think they'll get food and money and jobs, and then they end up dropping off the map at some point when they don't get it.
Sure.
Here in Mongolia, from what I'm seeing on some websites and people who have left the church, another is that, younger people like Western, new, exciting things. And Mormonism is a new, exciting Western religion. So they gravitate to that because it's new, it's exciting, it's, it's not as strenuous for them. Ironically, culturally, it's a much more lax environment than the traditional way they were raised, is what it appears to be. Again, this is just my observation. I could be wrong, but yeah. Also, you mentioned that when they're forced underground, they have to, at least from the Mormon perspective, probably from the JW perspective too. Mormons have to behave here. They have to really behave here because Mormons in Russia and China, they're actually blacklisted. So if they do something wrong, they get hit harder. And you don't want to break the law in this part of the world to begin with.
Yeah.
Right.
Why is that?
Well, China is pretty straightforward. Mongolia are prisons. Mongolia and Russia, we still have gulags.
Yeah. Okay.
The prison system has not been updated since the Soviet Union here in Mongolia.
Oh,
and
wow. Okay.
And there was actually an incident in Russia with Mormonism where, and this is still going on to this day, but there's an international Mormon college called BYU Pathways, and they operate, among other places, Russia. BYU
Brigham Young University.
Brigham Young University.
Yes.
And BYU Pathways, while operating in Russia, openly announced its support for the Ukrainian soldiers.
What?
And
Whoa.
there was a whole hullabaloo about that because Russia deemed them an undesirable organization. And when I was living in Utah, there was a Russian BYU student who's there to play sports. And everyone was wondered, is it safe for him to go back to Russia? Because he's a part of this school. Right? So, and the same thing, it sounds like, from what Matthew's saying, is true with JWs, where if you're in the U.S., they can kind of do what they want, and they have the legal resources to get around the law and not report abuse. But that doesn't exist in other countries.
Very interesting. Or is it Buddha says don't charge for the Dharma, right? Now, the other thing, So the other thing with the JW is it's been exposed more and more now with the Norway situation that, hang on, they're getting subsidies for a tremendous amount of money. And the other thing too was in the internet age, more and more information is coming out. I know I worked with the key director for Watchtower Society, who is operating from Ireland. In fact, I was destined to go to Ireland. And so, it suddenly came to light how many billions at least are being accumulated through essentially Ray Kroc style real estate. It's a lot more than that. I know it's more than just real estate. There's stocks, bonds, all kinds of things that are going on, and many, many different subsidiary organizations that are tied to one particular organization, which is Watchtower. It's a very complex, sophisticated system that is essentially generating tremendous assets and monies in the name of religion for tax benefits. That's what happens. So if you've got a PBO, for instance, or you've got a charitable organization, then of course you can be the top dog within that if you've now set up that, or you've set up a museum, or you've set up a education facility, or you've set up a media center, or whatever it is. And you can be picked up in one of the organization's planes, first class, and picked up in their vehicles, first class, with the volunteers that are donating their time and their energy and resources. So it's an incredible life when you tap into the top tier. But of course, now your so-called rank and file, or your everyday Jehovah's Witness, has no idea about those intricacies, and it's very compartmentalized so that they can't see how that kind of thing runs. But in, of course, the internet age, a lot of this information has now come out, and we've been able to compare notes for what's happening and piece together a tremendous amount of information about what this thing really is. And tracing back in history to, if you can say, the incorporation in 1879, though it did exist prior to 1879, it just looks like a real estate business a la McDonald's.
Basically, yeah. The one interesting thing I learned from being here, and this is true with many other countries, is the Mormons and the Jehovah's Witnesses, they can set up here, right? The Mormons announced a temple here like in 2022, which still hasn't been built yet. What a shock, right? Here's the thing. In this part of the world, they don't actually own the land like they do in the West. And the reason is it's Mongolian law. They have land right use where you can pay and you can do that, but non-Mongolians cannot own land or property.
It's kind of that way in Hawaii as well.
Yeah. And if you were to, like, say, start a business, as a non-Mongolian, you cannot own more than 45% of it. It always must be in a Mongolian's hands, the majority of it. And what the Catholic Church had to do to set up here was they had to basically, support a bunch of local infrastructure projects, and then find a Mongolian willing to buy it, right? So they gave the Mongolian the money, and they had to work out this whole thing. So and I forget where it is, but there's a Catholic church here, and the land it sits on and the property itself is owned by the Mongolian outfit.
Wow.
And that's another reason why in many parts of Asia, both the Mormons and it sounds like the Jehovah's Witnesses would be having issues expanding, is because you can't actually own the land.
They
You know what, Matthew?
Oh, sorry, James.
Now that we have a Mormon, or previous Mormon on here, there was this rumor that when the governing body received Kenneth Cook in 2018, it was said that he came from Mormonism. Had you heard that?
I'm not familiar with the name. I joined in 2020, so that's before my time.
Okay. What about you, Matthew? Did you ever hear that?
I have heard it, but it's one of those things I can't confirm. It's
me either. Yeah. Okay. So at this point, it's a myth.
It's in our brain. We cognizant of it, and we just gathering information. But I did show you what came from Bethel to me, the divine plan of ages, or the finished mystery, and all that, and showed you other printeries that are involved, right? Yeah, I showed you that. Yeah. And then, of course, when you go to Scientology, and they're using Watchtower motif in the middle of Johannesburg. They're using properties with big watchtowers, and they'll say, oh no, but that was a design by the Greeks or the Greek who owned the facilities prior, but I mean, it looks very, very close. And you look at a Scientology printery, and it's almost match for JW.
They have
That's
that.
what-
What is that thing to levels it to? I forget what it's called.
Well, yeah, because it still symbolizes the panopticon, isn't it? It's a spiritual panopticon.
Yeah,
It is suppressing our, innate abilities, our intuition, and things like that.
That is
Dave?
exactly like Mormonism. Because the Mormons would say our temple ceremonies aren't Masonic, they come from the ancient Israelites.
Dave was saving that one.
we're laughing.
Yeah, sorry about
The
that.
funniest thing we've heard all week. But
No,
it's
the things
so-
that anybody in the audience, I'm sorry.
It's so familiar, right?
Yeah.
So
Well, it's
that-
good that, like, going back to what Matthew said, it's good, and I appreciate you guys letting me be on here and hanging out with you guys because Matthew was talking about, like, JW's comparing notes with the internet and helping people leave. But I'm seeing, like, not just us, but I've seen, like, ex-Mormons and JWs start to kind of wander over into each other's spaces. Like, we all just kind of, like, show up here. The Mormons are like, oh, what's
Sure.
this? Oh, ex-JWs? What's that about? And then we start exchanging notes. It's like, hang on a second. Did Joseph
Right?
Smith, like, sit down with whoever started the Watchtower and, like, organize this?
Right.
Because this is the same shit. Just different branding.
It really
Right.
is. It really is.
And
And
you
it's so
discover,
amazing that, there's Joseph Smith and then there's Charles Taze Russell, and they started this. And this is what I've heard, Diamond Dave, is that, well, the Mormons kept getting kicked out of different places for some reason. And they'd wander here and wander there and try to settle here and settle there, and they just kept getting kicked out. It's so sad. But I heard that they were heading to Utah because it was still Mexico.
Correct.
It was still Mexico. So they
because
were
of polygamy, among other things, but because of it was because of polygamy. But they also kept getting kicked out because they would, like, take over towns and try and, like, forcibly take over towns, and people just kept kicking the shit out of them.
So they were
And
kind of trying to do a theocracy.
yeah, well, Brigham
their
Young
version.
tried to, like, it wasn't even just Brigham Young, but Joseph Smith tried to, like, do his own theocracy, and he had his own bank that went under, and I think that's one of the reasons why he got kicked out of a town, I believe, if I'm not misremembering or confusing two different things, because I know he had, like, a bank, and that bank went under hard because he was trying to make his own bank of his own little country or whatever the fuck he was doing, right?
Yeah.
And it went under. But the thing about this bank was it wasn't just funded by Mormons. Non-Mormons invested in it too. And
Wow.
you don't need to be a financial expert to know if if a bank goes under, or if anyone's, I mean, look at Bernie Madoff, right? How many people were pissed off about that? Like,
was-
average everyday grandmothers were sending death threats because they're life-saving people. Like,
So-
seriously, like, grandmothers were up.
Yeah. There's a question. But Bernie Madoff is he had Ponzi schemes. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Ponzi schemes. Okay. Yeah. So there's a question, Diamond Dave. Can you explain the Book of Mormon to the audience? People here need to understand. Yeah.
I think Mark Twain said it best. It's chloroform in print. If you want an actual
Wow.
if you want an actual, like, deep dive into it, I would say check out Mormon Discussions or, like, Mormon Stories podcast, because they do, like, deep dives on, like, the Book of Mormon. I am not an expert on the Book of Mormon. When I joined the church, I read some of it and I was just confused. I was on a podcast within the last 7 days and we were talking about, what does a church teach that is not in the Book of Mormon? And the short answer is everything. If you join a church and you watch General Conference and go and listen to sacrament meetings, none of what you hear is actually in the Book of Mormon, right? There's
Right.
there's no baptisms for the dead in the Book of Mormon. There's no Heavenly Mother in the Book of Mormon.
Yes.
Um, even and just women being ordained, right? Women used to be ordained and gave blessings and baptisms in the early days, and that stopped
That's
now
right.
for some reason, right?
Mhm.
The temple, not in the Book of Mormon, right? The temple ceremony is not in the Book of Mormon, right? So there's this whole thing. Even the heavenly kingdoms, right, where the Mormons talk about the
Celestial. Yeah.
yeah, celestial, terrestrial, telestial. None of that is in the Book of Mormon. So it's there. Like, I don't know what else to say. It's there. It's boring. It's like a Lord of the Rings fan fiction that some dude on drugs wrote. Like,
And the same thing could be said for Watchtower theology as well. Um, it's very fascinating. But the Mormons got started about 80 years before we did, I think, and they are one of the most wealthiest religions on the earth. Um,
they're up there. They're up there. They're probably not as, I don't know about the Catholic Church, but they're definitely up there. I would say top 5.
mhm.
But a lot of people like a lot of people say they're the wealthiest religion on the planet, and that's actually not true. That's a misconception because you have Islam, right? And then you have my religion, Hinduism, where there are at least 4 temples I can think of. They're made of solid gold, right? And there was one economist who went to one of them and did like an appraisal of all the stuff in one room, and it's estimated to be about 1 trillion US dollars, right?
Wow.
So they're definitely up there. Um, and it's kind of interesting because the way they do it, and I'm assuming the JWs do it is the same, is through shell companies, because that's how Mormons do it. There's many church affiliated companies, and then there's influencers, some of which I know personally and used to hang out with. Um, you know, they're all part of like this thing, and money gets moved around and offshored and things like that.
Does any of
Mhm.
that sound familiar, Matthew?
Yep. I was logged into what was called the Admin 2000 system, which was a computer controlled um, system before Hub, which would enable a person to see where a person like myself to see purchases where money was being moved around. It had a lot of weaknesses, so I could see where money was being shifted around. I mean, the sophistication is just off the scale. Yeah, I don't know where it actually ends.
You actually just reminded me of something. So, as a Mormon, because you talked about where you can see where the money goes, right? As a Mormon, we have something called LDS tools, where in your ward you can see everyone's address, phone number, see the bishop's phone number, your stake president's phone number, and all the wards within your stake. Do you guys have something similar to that?
Yeah, so yeah, it's just such a mess because the information gathering. Persons who see the abuse and go, "Just we can't support this anymore. It's just out of hand." Then they discover that yeah, the information gathering has been massive on one hell of a scale. I knew about that. Where did it come? Okay, 2003, when the whole Mossad, MI5, Israeli intelligence, British intelligence thing came up, and they were going, well, all you have to do is have a JW missionary going from house to house, filling in what was called an S8 form, which is an information gathering form about where everybody lives. And that's just been siphoned off to the intelligence agencies. It's just phenomenal information gathering. It's just incredible under the umbrella of a religion, which is free to do that, you know. And of course, we did know that something like the lockdown of COVID would come up. We were anticipating that. Because we knew that they wanted to make changes on this house-to-house thing, because your average JW is just doing it at face value, or is not even doing it very, very efficiently. But your incentivized agents that are in there are doing that. And I did know about that 23 years ago. I knew about that about 23 years ago, because it came up. It came up with the whole. It's just you can put in incentivized agents within the religion. It's under a cloak. You can insert them as missionaries and all sorts of things. So yeah.
Interesting. So you guys have that. I'm having fun with this because there's something else that the Mormons have, and I feel like you guys might have. So in the Mormon Church, there's the
just a minute, gentlemen. I just wanted to welcome Gigi. She's back. Her name is Gail or Gigi. So welcome.
And hi, David. I have some trivia for you. I live in Massachusetts. I'm in Burlington, Mass. And a few towns over is called Belmont, Mass, where Mitt Romney lived. And on Route 2, it's a famous route, and right close to my town I live in. And on that, they built this huge Mormon temple. And Mitt Romney had a lot. You know who Mitt Romney is, right?
Yeah.
And he had this huge steeple with this, I don't know how tall this golden cherub was, but they told them they had to scale it down because it was you could be like 5 towns away, miles away, and you could see this huge cherub coming. And I always wanted to go inside because the cherub was absolutely beautiful. I actually bumped into Mitt Romney at Whole Foods, and I said something to him about politics, but that's neither here nor there. But I did. I went up to him and I started a conversation with him when he was running for president. So I just wanted to share that trivia with them. And my mother, when I was a little girl, she studied with the Mormons, and we couldn't get in their car. I don't know if that's true, Diamond Dave, but we learned about the terrestrial, and I don't know what the hell the other one was, and John Smith and the plates. So my mother dragged us all to the
Joseph Smith, yeah.
You know, she dragged us to the Latter-day Saints in Cambridge, Massachusetts, which has a high population there. But thank heavens she finally stopped studying with them, because they wanted what do they call what's it called? They want your money.
Tithing,
yeah. They wanted my mother to give them money, and I said, Ma, don't stop it. Stop studying with these people. They're nuts. So she finally stopped. But that's my experience with the Mormons when I was younger. I just thought that was funny trivia with Mitt Romney.
Oh yeah, cool. There's a lot of stuff about Mitt Romney.
It's not true that his father is a huge pedophile. That's another story for another day.
Well, what's it? The Acrobat PDF files, hey, Gail?
Yes.
Acrobat PDF, yeah.
What about it?
Oh yeah, you don't say the full word, because YouTube will torch this. Yeah, YouTube will torch.
We're doing our best to keep Linda's channel alive.
We're learning new things all the time, and PDF files has become a replacement. Yeah.
All right,
Yeah,
so
say
I'll call
acrobat
him.
in front
I'll
of it.
call him Mickey. How's that?
Yeah.
Well, so,
I do want.
go ahead.
Oh, thanks. I was going to ask earlier. So the Mormons, we have something called the Strengthening Church Members Committee,
Wow.
and it's a lot of it. A lot. Oh, I think Matthew knows where I'm going with this, but because of the information gathering, it's a select group of good Temple Recommend holding Mormons who monitor other members and have files on every single member on the planet. And and if they see you, if they catch you, like say, if I was like still an active member and had a Temple Recommend, behind the scenes, if they saw me on this podcast talking like this, they would contact my bishop. And then they would either have the bishop set me straight, or if it's more extreme where I'm like turning people away from the faith, they would talk to the stake president and be like, okay, you need to have a disciplinary council for disfellowshipping, which is like shunning light. You're not allowed to take the sacrament. You're not allowed to give talks, or excommunication. Does that exist in Jehovah's Witnesses?
Oh, yeah.
Let me tell you something. Mormons are on another plane. In fact, I'm going to say that it has served a useful purpose. I can't say, oh, you know, that Mormon record keeping is just all evil and terrible. No, it's actually served a very useful purpose because of the degree of sophistication. JW's got something, but it ain't anything close to the Mormons. But yeah,
Doesn't Mormonism have the history of ancestors?
Yeah.
Are
Yep.
like amazingly accurate.
Yeah. I think it was Ancestry. Was it 23andMe or Ancestry.com? One of them was
I think
founded
it's
by.
.com.
Yeah. But yeah, one of those was actually founded by Mormons. And there's like a whole genealogy thing that you can do.
Genealogy, yes.
Yeah, genealogy is very, very big in the LDS Church.
Okay. I wanted to share something about money laundering. I wanted to share something about money laundering. First off, Jehovah's Witnesses have a legend about a Smurf doll. And kids within the Jehovah's Witness religion are not supposed to have Smurf dolls. And anyways, there's this legend that one got haunted and walked out of the Kingdom Hall or something. But within the bank system, and you probably know this, there's something called smurfing. Are you familiar with this, Dave?
Yeah.
Smurfing. It is gathering money here, money here, money here, but it doesn't go above that amount. It would trigger unnecessary attention.
Yeah.
Is that correct? Yeah. Yeah.
I've seen that in the banks. We're actually trained to look for that because when I was a branch banker, anything over 10,000, you'd have to file an automatic like UAR or SAR, which is like a suspicious activity thing. You were required by law to do it. So if you were to come into my bank and deposit 10 grand in cash, automatic UAR, just automatic, even if it's not illegal, right? But smurfing is to keep it under that point so it's not seen as suspicious.
I just thought that was so fascinating, and I was assuming that the Watchtower organization does that, but I don't have anything to confirm that they do that. That's just my guess.
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me.
Well, the accounts are supposed to keep, in South Africa, they're supposed to keep under a minimum of 20,000 Rand. Okay, so anything over has to be forwarded to the branch. So it will go, oh, this is to avoid smurfing, but it's used as leverage to create the upward flow of money to the branch. So
you're familiar with that term as well, Matthew? Smurfing?
I'm not familiar with smurfing, but I'm familiar with the principle that there is the cut off, that's got to be done. But it's used towards the Bethel's advantage. That's what it is.
Yeah.
So, okay, I'm going to give you a scenario that I came across here, an example, right? We put in 3 Kingdom Halls here on the peninsula, right? And it was in the locals' name. In other words, the title deeds were held by the locals, okay? And so when the one hall property was put up, it was donated by one of the locals here, and then something similar in the next area. It was phenomenal. On the peninsula, it was completely self-sufficient. And we had a means of enough donations that were going in that you could put something into a high interest account and no one would have to make donations ever again, right? Or that would go towards another flat, buying flats or buying another property, rent it out, and we would be able to generate other Kingdom Halls. That's how proficient our business strategy was here.
Wow.
Until they sent in incentivized needs graters that essentially put in place that any monies that was sent for or put aside for the good of local people never saw the light of day. It just went to the branch. That's what happened. I managed to defend it. I managed to defend it up to a certain point. And you can say, Matt, what have you done? But I managed to reverse or put certain things in place to reverse the sale of halls. I created another catch-22 situation that they got stuck. And that's when they just sent in a flood of needs graters, and I was overwhelmed. And yeah, but it all comes into that. Yeah. So I was working off this idea of the Apostle Paul, self-sufficient. Let's get everybody empowered. We had persons coming from Congo living on the beach. Everybody got a job. Everybody was integrated. There was nobody that was in need. It was phenomenal, Linda James. Absolutely phenomenal. But that's all been bust up.
Yeah, that'll happen.
I look at it and I just go, what have you people done? So this whole idea, I realized in my work, in a way, what I was doing was creating the true charitable organization that it isn't.
Well, you're only one person. You can only do so much.
Yeah, but that's why I say I was living in Gaga land. I didn't realize. So in a way, again, it was this bubble, this artificial bubble. So there was this thing that was really working really, really well wherever I went. And I'm working with family, and it's working very, very well. But when they sent in these incentivized people, all these incentivized persons, it was just to break that all apart. And now we have incredible dependency. It's miserable to look at. It really is.
Yeah. It's amazing. I'm going to take just a small break and be right back, but I'm still going to be listening.
Dave, is it you and me and Gigi?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh,
So,
I can't
over
share
to you,
this.
Dave.
Hey guys, I'm Diamond Dave, and I'm the new host of the show. I don't know.
Okay, so where do you want to swing this?
You'd make a good DJ, Dave.
Yeah, that's why I do YouTubing and streaming.
Yeah, you'd make a good one.
I don't know. I'm gonna put this up in the private. I wish I could just upload the picture for you guys to see. I found Kingdom Hall here in Mongolia.
Wow.
I can't find it. It's a Google Street View, and it's a Google Street View of Kingdom Hall. And for those of you who can't see it, it's just apartment buildings with a few shops in it. but
Okay.
apparently Kingdom Hall is buried in there somewhere. I can't.
Okay. Yeah. I have no idea where to actually find it. It is so buried.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's basically a big white building. Parts of it's like anywhere from 4 to 7 stories.
Let me see if
tall.
I can find it. Kingdom.
Oh, yeah,
Um,
I posted it in the private chat.
Oh yeah.
Linda James, am I allowed to take it from private chat to the main chat?
Yes.
It's a
Yes.
Google map. I don't believe
Yeah,
it's
it's just a street view. It's not anything inappropriate. I promise. I need help finding it because I don't see it anywhere.
Let us send it to all the brains out there.
Yeah, so just share the screen and let's see if we can find where the Kingdom Hall on Peace Avenue Ulaanbaatar is.
Sharing the
little bit-
screen is something I'm still learning how to do.
Is it in Ulaanbaatar?
Ulaanbaatar, yes.
Yeah, I saw it. I have Google and I Googled Kingdom Hall in Mongolia and it popped right up.
Yeah, but I mean, look at the street view. Like, where is the building itself?
Oh, you'd have to ask. I just deleted it all time.
Oh, yeah, it's okay. Matthew can see
Yeah,
it. Right?
Dave, it's a bit big for the YouTube stream
okay.
live chat.
Yeah. If there's a way to share this picture, I wish I could just upload the picture somehow. I can't do that in private chat.
Looks like a White House.
Yeah, so you've got all those flats, eh, Gail?
Yeah, it's got a bunch of columns. Yeah, it's pretty big.
Yeah, these are like shops, though. Like, off to the right, those are flats, and then in the middle to the left are shops. But I don't see an actual Kingdom Hall anywhere.
You know what you could do? Go onto Google and do images and type it in. I've got all kinds of images popping up on my Google. There's a statue with like a huss on it and a flag on the roof. Is that it?
I'm
Yeah,
now
we're all
going.
Googling
Yeah.
images.
It's pretty big.
So let's see.
That's not the one I was looking at, I don't think. Yeah, that's something slightly different. There's one like approximately 2 kilometers away from my house where I was looking at.
Oh.
Okay.
Maybe Google just got it. Who knows?
So what did you type in? Are you on the JW website and you put in Mongolia?
Yeah, I just did Google Kingdom Hall Mongolia.
That's exactly what I did.
And then I clicked on Kingdom Hall of Jehovah's Witnesses. I clicked on the Google map thing. And then the like street view comes up and the actual location on the map comes up.
Yep, I've got that too.
Yeah, it's just this particular one. I'm assuming the Kingdom Hall would be a separate building, but maybe not.
We've got what is this? Gyeonggi Jimpu and Gyeonggi Paju. So, yeah. So here's coordinates. Dave, I'll give you these coordinates. Private chat. Doing, doing, doing. There we go. So there's some coordinates. That's one hall. And let me put it into everybody else's live stream so that they can see what we're up to. And then I will post the other.
Oh, that's in
hall.
Korea. This one's in.
Oh, is that Korea? I beg your pardon. Why is
Yeah,
that?
this is South Korea. I'm looking at. I'm like, wait a
Get
minute.
it right,
This is not Cyrillic.
Get it right, Matthew.
I beg your pardon. You know what? This is coming off jw.org and it's misled me, which is not a surprise. Yeah. Sorry about that. I put in Mongolia and it's come up with South Korea. Well, it might as well. Yeah.
Little bit different part of the world there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Only no, it's fine. It's only a few thousand miles off.
Yeah, my mistake. I did. I've got two dots here, and
It's
one's
giving
on
me
the South Korea and
directions.
one's on Mongolia. Yeah.
It's giving me directions how to get there.
I'm obviously not helping Dave here. Sorry, Dave. I'm messing it up.
No, it's fine. I was just curious because I thought Kingdom Halls were separate buildings,
I thought
But-
so too.
but apparently I'm looking at just an apartment building and a bunch of other shit. So I don't know what's going on here.
You know what's interesting what it's saying? It's saying it's a location for the organization's activities. It doesn't say anything about the hall.
Oh, interesting. Maybe they rent out I don't know, maybe there's like a spa center or something in there.
Huh. Yeah, it says to go to JW.org, and I don't trust them.
Yeah, I put it in on jw.org and it took me to Korea, Gail. So
Yeah, I just put the address of what comes up, the address here in Mongolia. This is what I'm looking at. Yeah, it says Jehovah's Witness Kingdom Hall.
yeah, it's. Oh, I know what it is. If there's a place that's under heat, okay,
Oh,
like Mongolia, they're not going to put it on jw.org.
that's a good point.
Oh, that makes sense.
They
That
won't.
actually makes
That's why I got Korea,
Huh.
South Korea.
Interesting.
Well, we learned something new today.
Yes, we did.
It's also down the road from a Pizza Hut, for those of you that are interested.
Oh, when I'm in Mongolia, I'll swing by.
So, Dave, this is what's happened within JW is this matter of double binds, where there is a shunning policy. So this shunning policy, which was formerly called disfellowshipping, which is an institutional shunning. So it's institutionally controlled. It's not just you can say, I'm setting up a boundary and I don't want to talk to so-and-so. Because you could always forgive that person and it's not heavily monitored or expected of you. It's your own personal decision. But the shunning arrangement is institutionalized. But what is now coming to light now, of course, in our internet age, is that you can obey the religion and you are punished severely. So again, it's a liability thing. So if you have obeyed the top-down control, their argument is, oh no, we only eject persons who don't want to be part of the religion. But it's now come to light that that is not entirely true. That there is paths in place where persons have adhered to the strict rules of the religion and faced ejection because your leadership couldn't follow their own rules. So it's just incredible hypocrisy.
That's the same thing with Mormonism, because part of Mormon doctrine is, and I quote, do what is right and what is left will follow, right? So when people do the right thing and report abuse, they just get excommunicated.
Yeah, the left brain isn't right and the right brain, there's nothing left.
So yeah. Exactly. So yeah, it looks a little. It's the same principle, although it's played out a little bit different. But yeah, sounds like there's a lot of similarities here. I would describe all of what we're discussing as distinctions without differences.
Okay, so we've discussed a lot of the problems. What are the solutions to these abusive situations then?
Get out. Run.
Yeah, okay, Gail.
Run for the hills. Get out.
I mean, how do I word this? Because I'm known for more aggressive approaches. because while I want to be supportive of like individuals who are suffering,
Uh-huh.
there is a part of me who gets really upset when I hear people being abused and nothing happened. And there is a part of me that's just like, why don't we just make it illegal and put everyone in prison? Like, like there is a part of me that's like, you know what? Let's just shut it all down.
Yeah.
Um, so I think the biggest solution is to actually have more of these shows and have more people from other segments of experience wander over and just talk, right? And the reason for that is one, information is always a good thing, but two, for outsiders looking in, or even people who are still JWs, they might stumble upon this, right? And then they see, oh, well, Mormonism and JW is, it's not all that different. It's pretty much the same thing,
Right.
right?
Exactly.
So it's like you have different groups of different people coming together with different experiences and perspectives all saying the same thing, then that just adds weight to the not even just leaving, but it just adds weight to the discussion. And I think that
and being informed is power. And power, having knowledge is power, and being informed is power. I think the more you learn and the more you build that up. And I think sharing on a platform like this is a good thing, because we're sharing and we're getting different views and different ideas. And, you take what you want and you leave the rest behind, but you take what you need. That's an AA slogan, but I always use it. I used that when I went to the Kingdom Hall, because not everybody's going to like the same thing. So, but at least we're all here for the same reasons. I'm here for the support and for the support and learning new things, because I love to learn. I think the more you learn, the wiser and stronger you become.
Dave, how does this sound? Document everything. So before you actually get on to, mandatory reporting to police or child protection, which should be the first thing whenever there's abuse of a child or a vulnerable person that's alleged. You were talking about that hotline, right? No internal process should replace this, because that's a conflict of interest. But in order to now effectively go to the right body or enforcement agency or legal pathway, you need to have very good documentation. So good documentation, good recording, and make sure you're not isolated. Make sure of your laws for what you can record. And if you can't record something, become a very good transcriber and know how to process that transcript correctly. Send it back to the persons that are involved, but also make sure that you're not isolated. You are allowed to have a witness that's with you if there has been a situation of abuse, and definitely if there's conflict of interest. In other words, a leader that's involved in the abuse that is endeavoring to control the narrative or control the investigation, or they can't do that. It's unethical.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
there's
you.
that. What we encourage on the ex-Mormon side is don't go to the bishop, right? Like if there's abuse, just go to the police.
Yeah, go to the authorities.
We actually try and beat it over people's heads. It's like, don't go to the bishop, because the bishop, there's something in Mormonism called bishop roulette, right? And basically that means what's going to happen when you go to your bishop depends entirely on the bishop.
Right.
And when you get a new bishop, it could be completely different. Who knows? That's the fun of it. So, don't go to the bishop, just go to the authorities.
You're 100%. Yeah, because they're mandated. They're actually mandated to report, but they don't. And I had my own experience with that. I went to the elders about my daughter, and they said it was a domestic problem. I goes, no, it's not a domestic problem. And they dismissed me, and I got blackballed for that. But what I would like to see happen, if you're going to advocate for something, is not allow them to interview any child under the age of 16 unless a parent is present. I don't like the fact that they interviewed all these young kids with 3 elders asking them questions that are none of their business. And I don't think that should be allowed, period. I think that has to stop. And I agree with Matthew. I would never go alone. I would always have somebody with me, because there is an incident where an elder in Canada, and he has his own podcast, Berean Pickets, and he went and he was recording them. Well, they frisked him when he got in, so he couldn't record anything. And he wanted to bring somebody with him. They would not allow anybody in the room with him. They wouldn't let him record anything. And he tried to appeal it, but they kept blowing him off. So I don't know if it's 3 days or 5 days, Matthew, to appeal the ruling. And they purposely let that slide. So he was pretty upset that they did that to him. So they can't be trusted, period.
Yeah. So yes. So not only young persons and the vulnerable not to be isolated, but I would actually include the adults too, because if you uncover a liability, they try to isolate you and make you the fall guy or the patsy, or they try to shift the blame onto you or imply that you're a slanderer or something like this. So yeah, just don't do that. It happened to me, and I refused to be isolated. I said, nah, it's not happening in this case. You broke the law, or you're encouraging breaking the law. So yeah, what did you say? No loyalty to elders, no loyalty to bishops, which of course in the religion they say if you've got no loyalty to them, you've got a problem. But as soon as they have broken the law, technically speaking, they are not an elder. They're not a bishop. They've exceeded their mandate of authority. Same for stake presidents or branch structures. How about trauma-informed training for all leaders, including how grooming, coercive control, and dissociation actually work? I think that's an important one, but that comes to Steve Hassan and the bike model, because I've heard him talk about, look, if you're going to enter into a high control religion, there should be a warning label, much like a pack of cigarettes.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to be honest. I don't know how I feel about that one specifically. That's something I need to kind of like chew on. And the reason is I actually follow Dr. Steve Hassan, and I don't personally agree with a lot of what he says.
Oh, you've heard him say that,
eh? I mean, I give credit where credit is due, and I'm really just kind of reflecting a lot on what he says and kind of comparing it and testing it. You know, like you said at the beginning, with like, we want to be critical thinkers here, right?
Yeah.
And as I kind of think about it, when he talks about putting labels on high control groups, this kind of goes back to what I was trying to get at earlier, is who defines what a high control group is? Because someone like myself who thrives in such a group will not see it as a high control group, but someone else will. And at least where I sit now, the term high control group is pretty subjective. Not just for religions, but even just for...
Could you give an example?
What'd you say?
Can you give an example?
Sure. So, like for my religion, for instance, because I'm Hindu, a lot of people see Mormonism as a high control group, right?
Okay.
People who have church. We have more religious stipulations than they do. A lot more. We have the caste system. We have arranged marriage. We have even just the culture, right? Not even just the religion, but the culture behind it. So we have things like, for instance, how you treat your father is different than how you treat your mother. How you treat your grandfather is different than how you treat your father. You have set designated roles culturally, right? And to me, that's a Tuesday. That's normal. Like, I don't honestly know really anything else. It's just how I was raised. And it's very similar here in Mongolia, right? You treat your elders a specific way. I have duties as a husband. My wife has, duties for herself. That's not present within Mormonism because, again, it's cultural, right?
Right.
And someone watching will say, well, that's kind of insane. that you have such a rigid structure and you have no room to deviate. But here, it's a way of life. It's how people live.
Yeah, I was just going
And
to say it's cultural.
exactly. And so it's kind of like I'm really trying to explore just the concept, and I don't want to get too philosophical right now, but
Okay.
I'm trying to explore the high control group concept.
Yeah.
What is it high control and who defines it? And is high control inherently bad, or is it just more restrictive? Like, these are questions I'm asking.
No, you've done well there. So I think let's try
Yeah.
and bring a synthesis now. You've given the antithesis. So what's the synthesis? Here's an attempt, and I'm not saying that this isn't the answer. All right, I realize it's very complex, but let's try and reframe it, because what's happened is high control religion has become synonymous with JW. So somebody who's come out of JW says high control religion, they are meaning JW, and it's not a correct term. And you've brought it up, coming from Hinduism, coming from Mormonism. You're going, hang on a second, that's not entirely correct, and you are right. So instead of all high control religions and Hassan saying, oh, it needs to have this warning label, we need to anchor it in something that's demonstrable, structural risk, and harm-producing policy patterns. So let's try and frame it like this. And this is just a starting point. The concern is not high control religion. The concern is not devotion. The concern is not high commitment in themselves. The concern is when a high control religious structure develops abusive policies, suppresses dissent, punishes reporting, or places institutional protection above human well-being. But that's quite a mouthful to say.
Well put.
Well, basically, anything that produces harmful policies. Basically, that I can get on board. That I can get on board with.
Negative and positive reassurance or consequences.
Yeah.
In our training.
So, Linda James,
very Pavlovian.
Sorry.
I was just saying very Pavlovian. So if you picture the story of the Pavlovian dog and how they were trained, we were also trained as dogs, or like a dog. So so well that we actually monitor ourselves within our own head, when somebody else is not around. So Stephen Hassan also has a continuum thing about groups too. I don't know if I can.
The bite model. Yeah.
The bite model to be used with his continuum measurement thing of groups, whether they're high control or if there's something that edifies you or like wouldn't edify you, you're being used.
Sure. Yeah. So I think what Dave is talking about, and he can correct me, is we're just trying to separate. Instead of using this high control religion inappropriately, we're making we're distinguishing, or we're helping to separate sincere faith from negative coercive control. Yes. That's the problem. High control religion from abusive discipline or belief from harmful governance, or where there is a double bind that's creating a psychological catch-22 where persons are always in the psychological gulag and it's creating a negative harm. Or community, high control community from institutional capture, which is what the Australian Royal Commission was able to expose. They say, oh, you've now been captured psychologically into a situation that you don't have the freedom to actually come out of it because your family or your friends are used as a form of emotional blackmail because you're going to face loss. That's negative control. That's the warning label that needs to be placed. And not all high control religions are like that. See, or not all high control institutions are like it. So, Dave, how does this sound? And it's just an attempt. Perhaps the issue is not simply high control religion, because that can sound too broad. The real warning sign is a high control religious environment with a demonstrable propensity for abusive policies, retaliation against dissent, or concealment and harm to the vulnerable.
Yeah, I think that is a pretty good synopsis, and I'm more on board with that. I don't know if you guys seen the Netflix documentary "Murder Among the Mormons."
No.
But
No.
the way I am, I'm very much like the document examiner, right? If you tell him this document is genuine, he will try to disprove it. If you tell him the document is fake, he will try and prove it. That's just the way my brain is.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of a blessing and a curse in some ways, because I do acknowledge the good that Steve Hassan does, and he's helped a lot of people. I'm over the moon happy for that. Just the way my brain works is whenever someone says like high control group, I instinctively think like the antithesis. But on the flip side, if someone says, oh, all Mormons are bad, every single one of them, even the children, are inherently evil, then I flip, So
Yeah. No, you're right. You're correct.
I don't agree with that at all.
You can't lump everybody together.
Yeah, it's a very human thing to do, but I definitely agree that I would even personally, and this is just the way I would word it, I would just take out the high control group altogether and just say any institution that causes harm with how Matthew described it. Make it at least I like to make things as simple as possible. And if you add additional things, then that could confuse people.
Mm.
Yeah, you're right. We get lazy because of the complexity, and obviously, what happens is it's the mental bandwidth. It becomes very, very complex, and one thing can go into another, or it can blend into another, and we become lazy, or we feel we amongst persons that have come out of a particular religion, we're talking to JW survivors here, and actually we're not. We're not. Yeah. So how about this? Not all high control religion is identical. The red flag is when control combines with policies that enable abuse, silence victims, isolate members, and shield leadership from accountability. Then you need your label. Or if you want to be very academic, what you could say is the category that's worth examining may not be merely high control belief systems, but high control institutional systems with embedded mechanisms that increase the risk of abuse and obstruct correction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That I feel is more accurate.
Because
I do like what you were saying too. It's like demonstrable, right? Yeah. And so when I talk about anything, especially when it comes into this, I want to keep it as demonstrable as possible and try and avoid anything that could be vague or subjective.
Yeah, because I mean, even an occupation, right? The question isn't, whether a religion or an institution asks much of its members.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The question is whether, I mean, you could be in a sports team where a lot is asked of you. The question is whether its governance structure, the reporting culture, the disciplinary mechanisms create, where you've got conditions where abuse can be hidden or normalized or punished when exposed. So the danger is not intensity of belief alone, but it's the intensity of control combined with a harmful policy that is the architecture there. So, yeah. Linda James, I feel I'm talking too much.
No, it's good what you're saying.
I like what you're
saying. So, look, we should distinguish between strong faith communities and high control systems with abuse enabling policies. Maybe that's easier. So it's high control with abuse enabling policy.
Can I say something? I was thinking as I'm listening to everybody, what brought everybody to this occult? We all have spiritual beings in ourselves. At least this is how I feel. And all of us, for some reason, I don't know what everybody's reason, that we were all drawn to this occult. We had no idea that all this horrible stuff was going to go on in this environment until we became a member. We were sold a rotten bill of goods, and then we all bought into that rotten bill of goods. And what happened when we got there, we started, I don't know about anybody else, but I started noticing there's something terribly wrong in this place that I thought was the right place to go. So that being said, as time goes by and you see all this stuff and you start, and the internet explodes. And when the internet came out, everyone started doing the research and finding out, what the heck did I get myself into? I mean, I'm not going to beat myself up over it, but I was in it for quite a while. But what I'm saying, you don't find all this stuff out until you're in it and you experience it for yourself. Then you realize this is not a religion. We don't have to go to an organized religion to have our spirituality. And we were so broken, not broken, we were so broken. You can mend when you're broken, but I don't like the word damaged because I don't believe we're damaged. I believe we all got broken in some way, shape, or form, but we're all moving on. But we had no clue, at least I didn't, that this organization was a demonic, evil environment that's an unhealthy environment for ourselves and our families. And we didn't know that until we experienced it for ourselves. And this is what's sad about but what it's done. It's probably done some irreversible damage on some, and it's a long road to recovery to get out of this, and it takes time. And I believe there's a lot of resources out there that can benefit each and one of us and help us to heal and help us to I believe in uniting together as a group, because there's more strength in numbers and power where we can empower one another and forgive ourselves, most importantly, and move on, because there's bigger and better things out there. We just have to find it. And I just wanted to say that because I was thinking about the beginning and how this happens to all of us. We got sold this horrible bill of goods. We bought into it, and look what's happened. But you know what? What the blessing is, we've moved on. We were recovering. We woke up. We're aware of what's going on. We don't like it. And we're trying to find what can we do, because I despise anybody hurting a child. I despise it immensely. I wish I could do something about it. I really do, because every day there's more stuff coming out about it, and it's just I have grandchildren and children. I just couldn't see someone hurting my children, but my daughter did get hurt, and they did nothing about it, and that really angered me. I hated them for that. I really did. I don't like to hate anybody, but I hated that elder telling me it was a domestic problem. It's not a domestic problem. It's everyone's problem. It's all of our problem to keep our children safe. And I really am compassionate about what's going on with our children today. Thank you.
Linda James, there's a couple of comments in the live stream. Can I read them out? One's from Happy Thoughts and one's from Purple.
Sure.
Says from Sheila, well said, Gail. I knew you were here for a reason. XXXXX. You got 5 hugs or kisses there. Purple Rhymes Orange says the internet's made it possible for people to share information as never before. And Purple goes on to say, when you could not hear other people's experiences, it made it much easier for high control groups to convince you that you were the problem.
Very good comment.
Yeah. Well, and that's like what we were discussing earlier, like us merging kind of segments together helps, right? Because like the ex-Mormons coming with the ex-JWs, but also being like, I speak also as a gamer, right? because I'm very big on like providing just a chill place for people to watch me clean trash and hang out and have fun on live stream. Like I think that's part of healing too, like
Yep.
learning to enjoy being around other people without fear of being judged by those people, right? So that's actually I wouldn't say it's officially part of my coaching, but it does benefit because like, whether I work with you or whether we share information here and we talk, or whether someone just is having a bad day and comes and hangs out on a live stream and they find, peace and, have fun,
Yeah.
it still helps them in some way. It's still part of the healing process.
I agree.
I think we need more gamers. We need more gamers in this sphere, honestly, because we do, I mean, it sounds silly, but it's like, people who leave XJWs, it sounds like it's similar to Mormonism where they leave and they have no support system. Like they feel
Yeah.
like nobody cares about
Yeah,
them.
lack of
And
community, lack of social.
Lack of
group.
community.
Mhm.
Yeah, exactly. Lack of community and lack of I don't know, I don't know how to word this, but I'm just gonna send it. Lack of like fun, right? Because when you
Oh,
leave,
God,
you're like,
yes.
it's like, oh my God, like what do I do with my life? Like I have no friends, I have
Mhm.
no community, what do I do? And I think we need more gamers in here to be like, hey, let's just come hang out and chill. Like it's fun. Decompress. You have
Mhm.
feelings. Just feel, come hang out. Like have fun.
Yeah,
Lost
it stinks being alone. I mean, we're not by ourselves, and that's another big thing. We're not alone.
Well, I'm instantly curious what Dave's rig is at his home there.
It's terrible. My actual computer, so I'm just running a 3060 graphics card. It's not great, but like my PC actually broke
Oh.
in the flight to Mongolia, so I'm using my brother-in-law's PC. So I ripped out like like the chip with the info on it, the hard drive, and the graphics card, and I put it into this one. So
No, Dave, I don't have a graphics card.
Who?
Your system there is more sophisticated than my, what is this thing? Optiplex
Optic illusion.
Optiplex 9010 Dell from 10 years ago.
Oh gosh.
yeah, this
He's
PC's
complimenting you, Dave.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Your
he's totally
system's far
complimenting you.
superior. Yeah, thanks for the interpretation.
He's like, we're just so old OG over here. We're still,
Yeah.
using.
Dave, I want to do gaming. I want to sort of ring you up and say, hey, listen, it's on, eh?
That would be cool.
I mean, that would be interesting. I would have to like download multiplayer games again.
Wow.
Dave,
I
you
used to be-
sound very balanced and grounded.
Usually,
He does.
Usually,
You do.
You do.
Yeah.
You sound very balanced and grounded.
Usually, I mean, let's be honest. I am human. I have my moments. Like I'm just like many of you people here. Catch me in a bad mood, I'll snap on Facebook. Right?
Yep.
I'm not. I don't consider myself to be more balanced or grounded than anyone
You
here.
sounded.
I'm sounding well. Good. It's working.
Well,
No, but yeah.
well, you've brought in the gaming thing, and
Yeah.
In my complex way, I'm trying to say it sounds very appealing. I like it a lot. I think that's also what Gail's saying. But normally we've been talking about putting together rock concerts and rock videos and music and getting Linda James to sing and
Oh, she's got a nice
perform.
voice.
Hey,
Linda
Thank
has a
you.
nice voice.
yeah.
Thank you.
Hey, what time is it there, Dave?
It's 2:10 p.m. I'm actually going to get ready to go to bed soon.
Oh, it's 2:10 here, 2:10 in the morning here.
Oh yeah. But since you guys do like that idea of community, I mean, there's the Discord chat that I just joined, and then my birthday live stream link on
Happy
YouTube.
birthday.
Thank you. That's not for a couple days,
Oh,
but thank you. But yeah, so yeah, I put the live stream in the chat, so if you want, you can share it, and you guys, it sounds like you're 12 hours ahead or behind.
does.
You're 12 hours. Yeah, but
Are-
if you
are-
click if you click on my link, it'll tell you when I go live in
Okay.
American time. But you guys are more than welcome to hang out, and it's gonna be fun.
I don't see it on here because I probably
It's
don't
private.
have. I probably haven't given you a wrench, or I haven't made your. What
It's
you
in
could
the
do is
private
put it-
chat StreamYard. It's in StreamYard. The private chat in StreamYard.
So
Private
Linda
chat
James,
in
I've got from
StreamYard.
Diamond
not
Dave,
here.
I've got his live. Can I feature that on the main chat? May I do that?
Yes. Yeah, you can
Okay.
put that link in the main chat
Hey,
in
tell me
case,
if you see it pop up.
you
I
want to go
mean-
see that.
Yeah, if you guys need a community
Yes,
and
I
just
do
want to
see it.
chill. Okay.
Thank
Okay.
you.
My
And we're at
chat.
the,
Thank you, Dave. Thank you very much. And by the way, the time in my place is 11 past 8 a.m.
Okay.
Oh,
So I'm in a different time zone altogether. And
Okay.
Sheila is in a different time zone as well from UK.
and
So
it's
there we
Eastern
go.
Standard Time for me.
Linda James, how would you say our live stream was today?
Good.
pretty good. I'm liking it. Yeah. I am liking it. I figured out how to share the continuum by Steve Hassan. So I wanted to show it. if you
Who's
guys
he,
are
by the
cool with
way?
that.
Who's he? Who is he?
Steve Hassan.
Yeah, never heard of him.
He's a cult specialist.
Oh, okay.
So this is called a continuum. So I need to go to the full stream so I can see what I'm doing. I need to go big screen, big screen, big screen. I don't see it, so I'm going to look at it here.
Okay.
Okay, so there it is. Okay, so I see it there. And what I'm going to bring it, I'm just going to bring it down a little bit. And what this, oh, that's not doing it. Oh, I need to go over here. Okay. So I'm over here now. And now I'm going to bring it down from over here. Okay, so it's the influence continuum.
Oh, there you go.
It's to be used with a bite model of authoritarian, which some of you might be familiar with that. So with this continuum, to the left, it shows a group, it shows characteristics of more of a healthy group, constructive, and these would be characteristics of the destructive, unhealthy group. So you can, some of it might fall here or here or here on the continuum if you're judging it for yourself. So this one talks about for individuals, this first one, because you might have friendships or even a partner. So that was the first one was for individuals. This one is for leaders. The second one is for leaders. And then this third one here is for organizations. Okay, so I'm looking at it. It's very hard to read it for me, but as you can see, the characteristics over here are very different than the ones over here. So let's see, clones, people, that's the unhealthy side. Do we get to have individuality and diversity? That would be more of a healthy group where you can have individuality and diversity. That would be what is considered healthy in a group. Okay. If you have to be like clones where everybody looks the same, that would be more damaging, So let's see, the next one says, let's see here, checks and balances. And the other side says authoritarian structure. So the authoritarian structure is more of the dangerous side, but having checks and balances is more of a healthier side. So if we can, this bottom one, are we free to leave? If you're free to leave, okay, that's kind of a cool group. But if you have no legitimate reason to leave, no legitimate reason, which comes with getting your consequences, having your family shun you, all this other stuff, that would be more abusive. That would be more high control. This side on the left, second to the last one, says encourages growth. Okay. And then on the right, it says preserves own power. I think I'm reading that. Yeah, preserves its own power. So preserving their own power usually doesn't give you room for your own growth, and it surely wouldn't encourage your growth. I think so. If this makes sense, how this continuum is, the one on the left is more healthy. The characteristics and tactics on the right are unhealthy. That would fall under the high control and destructive groups that will take a lot out of you, and you would have to give, and receive nothing in return for the right side, if that makes sense.
So can we get this online? Can I get this document online?
Yes.
Beautiful.
It's called Freedom of Mind, and I
have this. Thank you. That looks excellent. Freedom.
Okay. It really is. I mean, I've benefited from them. And here we go for leaders. So are they psychologically healthy on the left?
No.
Or are they narcissistic, psychopathic? So one thing that's really familiar about cults is cult leaders, for the most part, are high on the narcissistic side. And then they're training those underneath them to be like little mini me's to also be narcissistic. So that gets brought down in the training. So it's not psychologically healthy. On the left, know your own limits. Wow, what's that? And then over here on the right, it's elitist and grandiosus. So that's the abusive side. Do they have that elitist attitude and grandiose attitude? I can recall being a Jehovah's Witness and having that elitist attitude. We have the one truth. We know more than anybody else. This we're just better than everybody else, right? Because God chose us, right?
Yeah, that sounds about right, Linda.
So on the right here we have power hungry, the one that's just right underneath that, as opposed to empowers individuals. That's laughable. I don't recall any of.
I don't recall any of that myself.
Yeah, that just didn't happen within that organization, So
they made you feel like crap.
Trustworthy, no. Secretive and deceptive. Yes, if you find that the group that you're involved in is secretive and deceptive, or this is for leaders. So it could even be the leader of the PTA group you're involved in, parent-teacher association at school, because your kids go to a certain school. Somebody ends up running it or takes a leadership position. So if they have these characteristics over here on the right, it's pretty damaging.
You can use this model on everything, really. And
very many things, yes.
With your family, you can. This model is great.
And you can probably attest to this, Dave, that within, I have a loss for words, but like CEOs and they can run a company very much like a high control group, but it doesn't seem like that at the beginning. Over time, you might notice it. Some groups can be like that. I don't think I'm coming up with the right words.
I think it depends, really. It really depends on like the industry, because like banking and finance is like pretty much all on the right, but a lot of it is just how the laws are structured anyway. So like,
Okay.
But yeah, I do like the concept. There are just some particular points in here I don't necessarily resonate with.
Right. Right. That makes sense.
And I also do think that there's a danger because putting this out there, as Gail pointed out, you can use this on everything, right?
Yes.
And if you can use it on everything, that implies that everything could be a cult. And if everything could be a cult, that diminishes the danger that people who are actually are in cults are in, right?
Oh, I don't look at it that way. No.
So
I don't
cult
look at it
is
that
the
way at all.
base word of culture. Everything is culture. So defining what is a healthy culture as opposed to an unhealthy culture is what this continuum would help us determine. Okay. And whatever culture we might be involved in, not each and every one of these things will apply, but maybe some of them do. If there's more on the right than the left, maybe it's something to think about. But yeah, I think I hear what you're saying though. I do hear what you're saying.
I'm definitely, just to clarify, I am not against this at all, right? I'm not sure entirely how to word it, but yeah.
Sure. No, I hear you.
Resonate. I think this kind of goes back to, what you just said and what we were talking about earlier is that, like you said, this is the thing of a healthy culture and this is a thing of an unhealthy culture. Well, who decides that? What authority do they have? And that's my brain just being weird.
Right.
So
this is something for yourself. This is an individual.
And that's a great question. I'm glad you asked it.
That's an individual examination of yourself.
I'm very much like that. And who are you to tell me? You better have like some experience or something. Otherwise, I'm not going to even listen to you. So who is he? He's somebody that used to be part of the Moonies, and he has his
the Moonies.
He has his experience of once being in a cult. So there's that. But this is the first time I've actually successfully shared anything. I get gold stars.
Of you.
Woo-hoo-hoo.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
You are now officially a streamer.
Yes.
I like to add something to this. Where it says authoritarian control, it doesn't necessarily mean it's in a cult. And you can use this as a self-examination for yourself in anything. I worked in organizations. I worked in corporations that were high-control corporations. I was in the mental health field for a long time. So I can use this for myself, for self-helping, and ask myself, am I more on the left or am I on my right? I think we can be on both sides. I really believe that.
No, I definitely agree. And this is, I think, the whole point of this channel is if it works for you, take it. If it doesn't work for you, that's fine. Either way, let's just discuss openly. Let's be honest and let's see the other side. Because that's how information gets out there. And as Gail was saying earlier, information is power. So
it is. And you take what you need in this. I like this for myself.
I do too. Take what you need, leave the rest.
Rigid corporation. I made good money, but there was a lot of rules and a lot of sexual inappropriate activity going on in there. And you can ask yourself, I would use this for myself. And then I'm dealing with a very dysfunctional family. I do private care sometimes. I'm taking care of my aunt who's 87 and she's driving me insane. So I got to ask myself, what am I seeing? What's wrong with this picture? What's wrong with me that she's aggravating me so much? I should know better. I should have patience. I'm going to use this for myself and self-analysis on myself and what I can do to better myself going forward.
This top one is for individuals.
Yeah, I like it. I'm going to use it. Trust me. And I'm going to check off too. I'm going to print it out and I'm going to write next to it what I need to work on and what I'm lacking. I think we all need room for improvement, and I know I do. So
absolutely. So yeah, and just kind of Google Steve Hassan to see
what
he's about, and he's done a few TED Talks. He has his own channel. He's given testimony for years upon years. So this year will be 50 years. He's been since he left the Moonies that he's been trying to educate the public on techniques and tactics of a cult. And he actually wrote a book called The Cult of Trump, which
cult of who?
Trump.
Trump?
So, yes, the cult of
Wow.
Trump. And it wasn't always welcomed in society at large at all, but it is becoming very popular now.
Have any of you heard of Outward Bound?
I'm sorry, what?
Have any of you ever heard of Outward Bound? This is a program, and I wish they still had it. This is a program that helps you discover who you really are. It's an Outward Bound course, and it's like a survival course. And I took it, and you find out an awful lot about yourself, what you can and you can't do with yourself. You challenge yourself. It's called Outward Bound, and I was thinking of looking into it and seeing if they have one for seniors, because I like stuff like that to challenge myself. Because I did that when I was younger. I worked in an Outward Bound program with acting out teenagers, and it just tells.
Okay.
And it's all about trust. There's a
Oh,
lot of
yeah.
exercises with trust.
Yeah,
which,
that's
it's,
when you see, that's that thing about being on a team
Mhm.
that is very beneficial. Being part of a team, which since the organization discourages
Yes.
playing sports, we don't
Mhm.
learn that team player and learn how to not be a sore loser and learn how to be supportive of whether it's not so much whether we win or lose the game, but how we play it and how we are.
Exactly.
We actually find some identity with being part of a team. Now that they have to squash because we're not supposed to find identity
That's
in any
true.
other thing, any other anything, you know. And I don't know about you, Dave, but Jehovah's Witnesses and the leadership, they have what's called a theocracy. So they believe that they are and so does the Catholic Church, that they are a government ruled by God.
Mm.
Yeah, Mormonism is the same thing, and Hinduism, well, I mean, just look at the Indian government. It's basically the same thing.
Okay.
Actually, Mongolia is not all that different. Technically, it's secular, but there's a political party here that's run by monks, basically, the Mongolian People's Party. And yeah, it's kind of the same, although Tibetan Buddhism is not nearly as restrictive as, like, the Abrahamic faiths. So, but yeah, I'm very familiar with the concept of a theocracy in general.
Okay. I've managed to take all of us off the screen and I don't know how. I'm sorry, what?
Linda
What did you
James, Gail and Dave, I'm going to excuse myself, but although I might be fading here, I want to say, Dave, it's a real pleasure to have met you. And Gail, nice to be with you. And of course, all of the ones that are on the live chat, really great to be connected with you. And Linda James, as you know, I regard you as gracious host, and thank you very much. I'm just going to excuse myself.
I'm going to bed.
Have a good night.
I gotta go to bed. It's 2:30 in the morning. I gotta go to bed. I can't see anybody. You still got the screen covered.
I know, right?
Hello.
I managed to share something and then totally disappear. This is a magic act.
You did a good job. That was good. I really like that. I love chats anyway. I like to challenge myself.
Sorry, guys, for not being able to bring you back on, but if I keep playing with buttons, I'll either totally mess everything up or figure it out.
It's all good. I should probably get to bed as well.
Yes. Okay.
Thank you for joining us, Dave.
Dave,
well, thank you for letting me come on. I know when I first hopped on, it was a little awkward. Like, who the hell is this guy? And like, what was he doing here? Like, who are you? I get it. But this is ironically how I showed up in the ex-Mormon scene in the first place. So
lovely. Yeah. I'm willing to, see who people are. And, I've really only had 2 bad experiences and I was able to get rid of them right away. So I'm not scarred or anything. But for the most part, people just show up like you, Dave. And I tell them a little bit about the channel and it was cool that what you shared here, and I was very comfortable having you here. So thank you for being just a cool dude
Yeah.
and
Well,
very, very chill, very relaxing. I appreciate
Thank
that.
you.
yeah, you got
That
a
is
lot
what
to
I do.
offer. Thank you. My girlfriend Dave, she became turned into Hinduism. She chants for me every day. She goes, Gail, I'm chanting and praying for you every day. She chants for me. Do you
Don't
chant?
you love that?
Yeah.
Mantras, yeah,
Yeah,
mantras.
she does every day for me. She's always saying, Gail, I got to chant for you and your family. I said, okay, go ahead. And she's got the most positive attitude of any of my friends is my friend Chrissy. She does hot yoga and she's turned into with you Hinduism. Yeah, she got. Do you get baptized or what happens?
So there's no like official way to join Hinduism. You just
Uh-huh.
it's a way of life, and so people just do it. In
Oh,
India,
okay.
in India, if you are like a Christian or a Muslim and you become Hindu, there is a ritual that's done, but it's more done by right wing, like Hindu ultra nationalists. So it's not Hinduism across the board. It's just like one particular sect called Gar Wapsi, which means coming home. And it's like you're
Oh, okay.
returning to your Hindu lineage, your Hindu traditions, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there's no real like baptism that's required.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I never got into it with it, but I know she prays every morning and she chants and then she does a lot of praying and then she does her hot yoga. And
There
I
you go.
think she's retired now. Yeah, she's a cool friend.
I got us back on stage. Woohoo!
Yay!
I
Woohoo!
get gold stars.
We're all leaving.
No, it was
I
perfect
was gonna
timing.
say, like, yeah, you guys use StreamYard. I use
Yes.
What's
Streamlabs.
the
It's
difference?
like if
Okay.
Streamlabs, I don't know about StreamYards, but Streamlabs gives you like a whole website and you can put on like merch and stuff like that.
Oh,
And
I
then
got
you could also like use it just for recording. You can have overlays, right? So if you like if I get a super chat, there'll be like a cool little animation in the middle with like the amount and the person and like a voice saying thanks for the sub kind of a thing.
Oh, very
Um,
cool.
I don't know. Streamlabs I think cost me like $18 a month. I don't know what StreamYard is or what it can do.
I think it's
But
free, isn't it?
StreamYard costs some money.
Oh, it
Yeah.
does?
Yeah. So Vern and Shauna are partially sponsoring me and
Oh,
this channel so that I only pay a very minimal amount because I'm using their StreamYard.
okay. Gotcha.
Was it that cool?
Yeah.
It's very cool. Like it's very cool because if I did this by myself, it was going to be 400 and something a year.
Yikes.
And I'm,
See you later on that one.
I can save up for it, but I thought it would be the same amount as last year, which was like 200 and something, and then
How
it
come
turned
you
to
don't use-
400.
How come you don't use Zoom? Isn't Zoom free?
Well, Zoom
is
doesn't
free.
stream.
Oh, they don't?
Correct.
Yeah,
Yes.
Zoom is just video calling. It doesn't stream.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, gotcha. Well,
But
everybody
yeah, so
have a lovely rest of the weekend, and
Okay.
I'll bump into you again next week.
Okay. Yeah, that
Good night,
sounds good.
everyone.
I
Bye.
love you, sis. You're good people,
I
and
love
thank
you
you for
too.
sharing
And
your frustrations and your,
well, Heather's going to be 39 on Wednesday, the 18th, and I hope she's going to stay clean and sober. Let's all hope so. I'm hoping for the best.
Me too.
Finally.
Me too.
And my son's getting married in May, so that's something to look forward
Oh,
to.
how exciting!
He just came back from New Zealand with the Sharks. He's going to be on TV in June. He went Shark Week with the Sharks in New Zealand.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, he'll be
He
on.
swims with the sharks.
He'll be on the Discovery Channel. I wish I could show you the videos. He's got the white shark biting on the cage he's in. He's crazy. It's this huge fish, and all of a sudden comes up, opens up its jaws, and clamps right onto the cage.
I hope he gets paid well,
Um,
really well.
the guy that does the Shark Week invited him, and he was having a blast over there. And
Oh,
then he
good.
just told me he's going to get married in May. I thought he was going to get married over there, but he didn't.
Okay,
Well, that's my news. It's something to
that
look
is
forward to.
exciting news.
Yeah, I can't
Okay,
wait. All right, everybody, have a good
catch you
weekend.
next time.
Stay
You
safe.
guys have a
everyone.
good one.
Stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you, Gail.
You too. What do I?
There might be a button on the bottom that shows an arrow to the right, or else it might say leave, depending. Okay. Alrighty then. So Dave and Gail have left the building, which is actually perfect timing because I was going to close things up in 20 minutes, but this is good timing. Matthew's kind of just taking a brain break, and that makes perfect sense. And I thought tonight went pretty well. I also wanted to bring up something that I talked about last week, and that is because the U.S. is at war, and the whole Iran thing. There are some theories that this is going to bring about Armageddon, and or bring about the return of Jesus. I said I needed to confirm the source, and the source is not confirmable. I watched something on the Friendly Atheist, and he brought up something about where this started. So if I remember, I'm going to put that in the chat because it was somebody that he's familiar with, and when he brought up how that person spoke of it, it's not based on fact, but Christian nationalism does believe in that happening. So it's very easy for it to just run amok and be grabbed onto. So when you hear about it, just research and see how you can fact check it. So I wanted to just mention that. It seems as though Trump his mental conditioning, or his mental condition is waning. And his father had Alzheimer's or dementia for a good 10 years before he passed away. And this could be something that Trump is dealing with now. So I'm, of course, not a doctor. I'm just somebody observing him. And I've heard many people speak about relatives they've taken care of and this, that, and the other, and it looks like that to them. But again, we don't know. So I do not hate Trump. He scares the hell out of me. And I do have concern about his health. Like I hope for him to, the last thing I would want is something horrible to happen to him. So I'm hoping he's getting good care, is what I'm saying. Okay, that's what I wanted to say on that. I just found something on the screen that says, stop sharing. That's probably what I should have, a button I should have done earlier, but I'm not going to do it now because I don't know what it'll do to the screen. So anyways, is there anything you would like to share, Matthew, before we say goodnight?
Just my usual thanks. As simple as that. Thank you very much, and thank you, everybody. Yeah, really good.
Thank you. So after tonight, I'm going to gather up as much information as I can on Shannon and Joe's channel, Deservingly You. I was fortunate enough to interview them on a show earlier tonight and closed it out so that they could have that. And we had all these visitors. It turned out to be just fine, though. And then we got to start this show and go with how it went. Dave showing up, that was a cool surprise. and I just loved his demeanor. That was very cool. I appreciate, Matthew, how you just, was asking John questions, asking um, Shannon questions. I just really liked the way things turned out, and we have this organic thing going on. We don't have a note. This is how the show's going to go. Maybe some subtitles might be good in the future, but so far it seems to be flowing, and I'm appreciating what you contribute. So thank you so much. So we will be back next weekend, and today is the 14th of March 2026. And I just wanted to say thank you for everybody that showed up in the chat tonight and everybody who listened in. I want to thank you for those that will be listening to this later. I appreciate all of you, and this is truly a highlight of my week. And I will catch you next weekend. Okay, good night.